All right. How you feeling? You ready to do this show?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Woo! Ha! Late ill kid at OneYoungsta, holding it down, bring you that street geek nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today, coming with another wonderful episode of Loungin. We are chilling. We missed yesterday because I was doing tons of work, and trust me, when I say tons of work, I do mean tons of work. We got things going on, all over the place. We just trying to do our thing, trying to live, and trying to keep up with the keep it up. I want to give a big shout out really quick to Markeith Collins in the chat, Alan Lewis in the chat, Kibi23, and let y'all know, thank y'all for coming through. Shouts to Boogsworthy. We're going to get into y'all in a second, but I have a wonderful co-host. I am joined by Lady Lisa. Say what's up.
Hey, y'all.
Now, off the top, I want to do big shout out to my Patreon supporters. Big shout out to Boogsworthy, who is a new Patreon supporter. What up? Got your message. Great. Thanks to see you. Big shout out to Panda, Enrique Carrion, Tim I. Big shout out to Thought Crimes, Jamal Lee, all you guys that help me build. Y'all are kind of like my sort of like silent de facto co-producers. And I thank you because you guys allow me to either get new hard drives like I had to. I went through Friday is why we couldn't do the thing, because the hard drives and just things, tons of stuff to be able to make sure that we can have some more fun. But we got a show to get all that. Lisa, we made it another week. It's not easy to make it another week, but we made it, and we are here. So, with that said, what story do you want to start off with?
Let's just go ahead and start off with the story of Elijah McClain. This is a story from last year. This young man was actually killed last year, but because of everything that's been going on, his story has resurfaced because of, as always, the injustice of him being killed, and there are officers who were not charged at all.
Same with Breonna Taylor, but we'll get on that later.
Yeah, and it's just a sad story. All of them are, of course, but this young man just seemed like a very gentle soul. He was very young.
Yeah.
He was socially awkward. He had just a few issues, and he was a gentle soul. And I'm going to tell you something else different about this case is that the EMT was involved in injecting him with a substance that, pretty much subdued him, which is, so we got to worry about y'all now. So for those of you that don't know, this young man, his name was Elijah McClain. He was killed. He was 23 years old, and this happened in Aurora, Colorado. He was labeled as a suspicious person by someone who called the police on him.
Karen.
They said it was a suspicious person in a ski mask. He was not armed, and he had not committed any crime. And the police actually acknowledged that when stopping him. This young man did resist being stopped by the police because he's like, I haven't done anything.
Yeah, and you asking why something is happening is not resisting arrest.
Right.
I'm not even under arrest yet.
Exactly.
You just met me.
Exactly.
I'm not under arrest. If someone said, you're under arrest, and then you said, no, I ain't, then that's resisting arrest. Right. But someone coming up to you saying, hello, sir, and you saying, why are you stopping me? That's not resisting arrest.
Exactly.
That's a general question. And if you feel that you can't even be questioned, that's more reason why we need to abolish and defund the police. If you can't even be questioned, and so much so that you're to the point where you're willing to beat up or shoot anyone who questions you, you got to go. But continue, sorry.
So, they stopped him, and The cops tackled him to the ground, put him in a chokehold, and first responders injected him with ketamine. He had a heart attack on the way to the hospital and died days later after he was declared brain dead. So supposedly, it could not be determined exactly what he died from.
We know what he died from.
Yeah, I'm so sick of this. I don't know.
They injected him with ketamine. And they didn't know if he had... When you're on the site, there's no way you know what kind of allergens, what kind of medical history this person has, any of that. That's exactly why we need to get rid of... This whole police respond to everything has got to go. And this is another example why. If we had like 911 and 811 and 711 and 611, all those things, then we could have sent some people over there that had no guns, had no syringes, had no nothing, just to see, yo man, you good? Yeah man, I'm just walking around. All right, peace. And that could have been it. It didn't have to, oh, and big shout out to Tay 1990, Tracy Lee in the house, good to see y'all too. Y'all beautiful sunshiny faces. It didn't have to be all that.
No.
And this is just more proof of why at the top levels this has to go down, but from the grassroots levels we got to keep fighting. Stay out there in the street, stay blocking them intersections, walking down them bridges, doing whatever you got to do, shouting, calling people out at the city council meeting. We can't stay silent. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep pushing, keep going. And we've been doing an awesome job of staying in people's faces and not letting this go. And I just want to keep the same energy because we're getting the ball moving. The ball moves slow. It does. But the ball is moving. Because we lost someone else who didn't have to be lost. You know what I'm saying?
But as long as we have these cops out here that are determined to use deadly force on black people, you know, go with me when I say this. So as long as those cops are out there, this is a life that had to be lost. And we have to think of it like this. This is a life that had to be lost because we have these cops out there. And as long as these cops are out there, these lives will continue to be lost. There's no getting around it. There's no retraining. There's
no reform that can be done.
No, because they don't need to be trained not to kill white people.
Thank you.
And you know, so that's out the window. That's not even an argument. That's not something I even want to entertain. You know, it has to do with these police departments need to be gutted. Gutted, cleaned out from the window to the wall.
And I don't care about your one police officer that's a good person. I don't care about your one, because now what we're in
I tell you what,
if
he's a good person, then after they gut it, he can come back and reapply.
Thank you.
And if he has nothing on his record, he should be fine.
Thank you. But this idea that the police can be reformed somehow from where they are, you can't. It's like they say a lot of times when it comes to arguments. It's fruit from the poison tree. The down to the roots, white supremacy and anti-black racism and hatred is at the roots. So we can't just say, oh well, we going to trim the leaves a little bit.
Right.
That's not going to happen. We got to dig up this tree, wood chip it, burn it, and plant a new one.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. I have nothing wrong with law enforcement. I have nothing wrong with policing. What I have a problem with is white supremacy, anti-black racism and hatred masquerading as law enforcement and policing.
Right.
And for those people out there acting like, oh, well, I've never had a bad interaction, and just
good for
completely
you. Congratulations.
Disregard all of the documentation, all of the documentaries, all the video footage, as if police are just being blamed for something. Come on, man.
Right.
Once again, do not get caught up with those arguments.
Yeah, because
keep your blinders on. We are focused. Like Boogsworthy said, defund the police, get rid of the police unions, get rid of qualified immunity. That's what we focused on right now. We got other stuff later. We got other stuff down the line. But right now, we are battling the strength of the essential the punishment arm of white supremacy, the kind of law enforcement arm where, oh, well, if you do something, I'll say a African American man is threatening my life. We're getting rid of that. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're doing now. Don't get caught up in these arguments online of people being like, oh, well, I know a good cop.
Well, that's great.
I ain't got time for your one good cop.
What does that have to do with the majority of cops now that are out here killing black people? We're at the point, y'all, I don't know if you realize, but we're at the point where we're hearing about a black person being killed by a cop at least once a week. At least once a week.
Yeah.
That's craziness.
And, like Kibi said, yes, we don't care about the one police officer jumping double dutch and playing football in the community.
Yeah, that's not your job.
Here's the problem. The issue is we have a lot of people coming out, and some of this is coming from what you read earlier from someone we both know, what you read earlier off of Facebook. We are seeing all these people come out in droves saying the protests are doing this with all this fire and vitriol and all this passion. Where was this passion when people were getting killed? Here's the problem with the narrative for police. The narrative for police essentially negates the fact that people are even outside. They act like people. It's like, okay, you're mad about people yelling and shouting at police, right? Why are they yelling and shouting? Are they yelling and shouting because they were just like, oh, I ain't got nothing to do today. Guess I'll go yell and shout at police. No. So let's stop negating the fact that police have been doing things for, at least that we can see, since Rodney King. What was that, 91, 92? So at least for about 30 years, we've been able to see it on video. At least. Then before that, but of course, white people never caught to that. We ain't got no video footage. But at least since Rodney King, we've seen it on video. And for y'all to act like, oh, protesters are just crazy. People just wild and crazy in the street. I don't know why they doing this. What's so wrong? It's the continuing argument of people that conveniently forget the reason people are out there to protect the interests that they have. Now, some of these interests from people you might not understand. I'm sure there might be some people out there that's Asian or black or Colombian or whatever, or any type of brown that you'll be like, why are they? Trust me, in some way, shape, or form, they have bought into white supremacy. You ain't got time to fight them. You don't. We got to fight the citizen. We are fighting the system right now. We got to go towards because we ain't got time.
Because
don't waste your time on Facebook or Instagram arguing them. Let them be in their corner and believe it. Just keep
once
going.
You fight and reform the system, it makes it that much easier to deal with the citizen.
Yeah.
Because once you change laws and actually create bills that go through, then it's much easier to deal with the citizen because you can refer to that law or that bill and say this needs to be applied to this citizen.
True. And Tay 1990, I know it goes back before Rodney King, but what I'm saying is when it comes to white people, they will only cop to in part, and when I say in part, in small part, for what is documented. What people have seen.
Right.
And what people have seen in most recent modern history is Rodney King being the very start. And I'm saying, even if they want to start with only that, you're talking about 30 years of documented with video police brutality, police misconduct with leaving evidence or planting evidence, and police murder.
And then,
now, if you want to go back further, yes, because Tulsa, Oklahoma was not the only black city. There were numerous black cities that were broken down, beaten down. And look at Central Park. You know what I'm saying? That we all love to go through. Matter of fact, the funny thing is Central Park, due to now that we know Seneca Village, Central Park, a white woman had the nerve to stand up and say, I'm going to call the police on an African-American man because I know this will scare him. In the same place where a park was created on an area that we had to ourselves and left everybody alone. So there's been many times when black people be like, all right, cool, y'all don't want to mess with us? No problem. We're going to go over here. We ain't going to call y'all. We ain't going to touch y'all. We ain't going to ask for y'all. We ain't going to deal with y'all. We're going to mind our business and do our thing. And then they came over here, burning our stuff down, shooting us. So the issue is not separation, because separation ain't going to work.
The issue is existence.
The issue is existence. They don't want us to exist. And that's fine. I understand where you stand. You understand where I stand. But here's the thing. You're going to have to fight just like I'm going to have to fight. And we ain't going to lose. You want to know why? Because ever since we've got on this country, set our foot on this soil, you tried to kill us. You tried to destroy us. You tried to break us down. And guess what? We still here. You can't beat us. And I think that's part of what this energy is behind all this extra police stuff now, where it seems like it's getting hotter and hotter. Because it's like, you can't beat us. You ain't going to stop us. And you ain't going to get us out the streets. So either you or I going to go, because you've made it very clear, you meaning white supremacy and those who buy into white supremacy, that all you understand is violence and money. And you have some kind of kernel of hatred of blackness in your body, in your mind, in your soul, spirit. I don't care. I'm not here to excise it. I'm here to excise you. I ain't got no time. I ain't got no time for no come to Jesus meeting.
Thank you.
I don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation with a black person. I don't want to do none of that. It's cool. Fine. You want to do that? Go ahead. I ain't got time for that. We fighting white supremacy, and right now it's the law enforcement arm of it. We are moving forward. We ain't got time for these silly arguments. We ain't got no time for these sidelines. Black people together. And when I say black people together, I mean black men, black women, black children. I don't care. That's it. I don't care about who you are sleeping with. I don't care about what you identify as. You are black. You are my brother and sister, brother or sister, or mother, aunt, uncle, whatever. We are together. We are united in a front against this bull. So, and I digress.
So, there are several issues that I just kind of want to point out in this case with Elijah McClain that I want us to stay on top of. And the first, of course, is the chokehold. Mm-hmm. Through the years, this has to keep being talked about in terms of the chokehold. Mm-hmm. Supposedly in certain states and certain cities, the cops aren't supposed to use it. I don't know what that means. Does that mean it's illegal? Does that mean it's against the rules? Does that mean it's a no-no? I don't know what that means. Yeah. So that's something that we need to keep on top of in terms of making it illegal. Yes. Not against the rules, not a no-no, not frowned upon. If you use this maneuver, there are consequences. Yes. So, I wanted to stay focused on, and we'll talk about this more, hopefully, working towards making it illegal across the whole United States, in every city, in every state, to use a chokehold on someone that's being arrested. I mean, if it take all of that, you don't need to be a cop. Y'all already call it 4-5 cops. What y'all doing? Yeah. What you need to put them in chokehold? And I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. You drive by and you'll see somebody pulled over and there'll be like 4 cop cars. It's like, who they got in there? Tony Montana? Yeah. And so then the other thing, which I said is new in this case and very disturbing, is the use of ketamine. By the quote unquote first responders. They have street random. Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but that is very disturbing. So that's another issue in terms of because not only should the cops be held accountable in this case, but the EMT worker. Yeah. For the EMT to use that. You don't know what ketamine will do to this individual. You have no idea of their medical history. Right. Why would you just jump to that? What exactly? But of course, we know why you would jump to it. But what I'm saying is, as a logical question that you would ask inside of like the court of law, why would you do that? So, what would make you think that this is the only answer for you? Yeah, just why because is this someone questioned why they were being stopped. Even if you don't see this the only answer, why is this an option? I don't understand. Yeah. So then the third thing is body camera. So the body camera footage of the arrest did not come out for months, and we see this happen all the time. And so then the other issue is supposedly, let me see if I can. That's what's up, Markeith. I see you. It said very little of the officer's protocol can be seen. However, because all of their body cams allegedly fell off during their arrest. Oh, boy. And there were we're talking about at least 3 officers, and all of their cameras just fell off.
This is another thing I would submit to you. Oh, and big shout out to Boogsworthy. Said, isn't it illegal to administer drugs to an individual without their consent? That is a good question. I want to say that's true. Don't you need like at least a power of attorney or something like that? But anyway, that's a whole other thing. I submit that this is another thing that I want. Body cameras cannot be removed. Body cameras need to be, I submit this, cannot be removed. If are ever removed, immediate suspension. No questions asked. Gone. And when I say suspension, I mean you're gone. Just, you ain't getting paid for those 10, 12 days, whatever you gone. Also, body cameras engineered in a way where they cannot be turned off. They are never off. They are always streaming. And they are streaming through satellite or Wi-Fi or whatever. Well, no, not Wi-Fi, because you might be in some place where there isn't Wi-Fi. We'll need to throw up a couple government dollars only for this specifically, not to be also used as a slush fund for extra guns and shields and all that, but to stream satellite feeds straight to 3 objective parties for the raw data, meaning that the footage will never be on site at the police station, ever. Because somehow we don't see this footage till 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. So what? So y'all can get y'all story together?
Right.
This stuff needs to stream independently to 3 objective parties, I submit to you.
Well, so you can chop up the footage?
Yeah, so those 3 parties need to be, I don't know, some kind of like rights, union or something like that. And not saying that I know, but let's say you could stream one to like the NAACP, one to the ACLU, one to the wherever. Just 3 different places that are not beside each other in the straight data stream. And what I mean by the straight data stream, even when it's in the shelf, it's just filming the inside of the shelf. But these cameras never turn off, ever. And you don't even have the ability to turn it off. And if it is dropped or it falls off or destroyed or whatever, if that feed cuts for any reason, it's an immediate suspension and investigation. That's it. Full stop. That's what I want. Full stop. Like, I don't care. I ain't trying to hear about it fell down. We was tussling. Or, I forgot to turn it on. Man, I ain't trying to hear that. Suspension. And the money is gone. Dry up that money. Meaning that the union's got to be gone because they can't fight. Nah, the money's gone. Because one thing white supremacy understands is money. So let that camera get dropped a couple times. Let them miss a couple checks. Let them have a little problem with their rent. Now, Do you like eating food, or do you hate black people? Which one you like? And because apparently they can't handle the responsibility of running the cameras themselves. So just like when you have a child, if they cannot handle it themselves, you take that responsibility from them and do it for them. So in this case, I would like to take that out of their hands. Meaning, 1, the cameras can never ever be turned off. They stream to 3 independent parties, full raw data. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no edit, no nothing, straight to them. And then it streams 24/7 forever until the camera dies or whatever.
Right. And then they also somehow need to figure out what to do with cops who, and I've seen this before, cops that will stand in front of someone else's camera. You know what I mean? To block kind of what they're doing or what's going on, or they somehow figure out a way to do that. So, and it's more wrong with this story, and this happens a lot too. So, again, this story's from last year and it's being brought up again. Mayor Mike Kaufman called for a special meeting of the Aurora City Council to vote on whether or not to authorize an independent investigation. So you gonna have a meeting to meet about an investigation.
It's like the HR 40. It's like the HR 40 bill.
So you're gonna have a meeting to see if y'all should investigate, to see if you should fire them, to see if you should charge them, to see if they should be indicted, to see if they should go to jail.
Who do you think made up meetings about meetings? White people. White people did this. Even in corporate America, y'all have a meeting about the meeting.
Y'all are the most meeting about meetings people I've seen in my life.
It's called stalling for time. You want it to die down. That's what you want. So if you have this meeting, to have a meeting in 6 months, and then you have that meeting to convene on the meeting you had before, now you just throwing the people in a loop, and no one's the wiser. Big shout out to Eon 001. He said the North Carolina officers got fired by the new black captain for the hate speech. Check that story. Yes, I saw that. The reason I'm not following up on that is because haven't been no charges. I want charges. Firing ain't enough. I'm sorry. I did see that, and I'm like, that's a nice start.
Let me make my point that I made before about the whole firing thing.
Go ahead.
Okay. So when you have a citizen that commits a crime and they go to jail, we assume
they've been fired.
You lost your job.
You lost your job.
We don't need the job to have a formal letter.
Yeah.
We don't need them to announce they were fired.
We need them in jail.
You lost your job.
Thank you.
Period. And that is an intelligent assumption.
Yes.
We don't need the formality of you losing your job. You going to jail. So guess what? He ain't showing up to work. So you fired. Why are we supposed to be impressed with the fact that you're fired? Anybody who goes to jail who has a job no longer got a job. You are fired. You ain't coming to work.
Yeah, you got fired. Like, I mean, yes. Are they on the force? Jesus. I'm glad. I'm glad they're not on the force. Cool. That's great. Now, let's charge them. What they did was a hate crime, especially dependent upon the oath that they've taken and the force that they can employ through the job that they have. So with that said, I submit to you, they only did half of the job. I want charges. Till they have charges, I want to hear from the North Carolina man. I don't want to hear from Keisha Bottoms. I want to hear from none of these black people that's in all of these high places that cared nothing about police brutality until George Floyd. And I'm looking at all y'all in Congress. All y'all black people in Congress and city council and all this. Now because y'all want to ride the wave, now all of a sudden police brutality matters. And y'all know who y'all is. I don't have time to list out y'all names. But
and let me say this too.
Go ahead.
You know, in this case, everyone is talking about, you know, what a sweet person he is and what a kind person he is. And that's true. We should talk about that.
Yes.
But then you have some news outlets that talk about it as if that's supposed to be the reason why we need to fight for him. I don't care if he was the meanest butthole on earth. I don't care if you can't find nobody but his mama to say that they loved him. It doesn't matter. His life mattered regardless. He had a right to live and not be killed by the police regardless. Mm-hmm. We have to stop feeding into
respectability politics.
Yes, and like, he was so nice.
No diss to you, Eon 001. I saw you.
Because I said it too. You know, I said it too. He seemed like such a sweet soul. You know, but I'm talking about when the news outlets push that, and that's what's at the top of their story.
Yeah, the top of their story is a way to try to break down your character in some type of way.
Yeah, either break it down or build it up to say, that we should be fighting for you, or break it down to say, well, he deserved it.
Yeah. And it's like, it doesn't matter. This altercation this instance should not have ended in a death. The end. But we got some more stuff to get to. I know we got some more stuff to get to. Did you want to go into your boy Shane Dawson? Did you want to talk about?
I didn't really want to talk about that, but okay.
Well, I wanted to touch on it for a moment.
Okay.
All right. So, or did you want to touch on something?
No, go ahead.
All right, cool. So today I saw Jayden Smith trending, and I was like, "Oh snap! Jayden Smith maybe dropped a new jam." No, unfortunately not. Shane Dawson isn't done getting in trouble, and I usually don't do the YouTube beef stuff and YouTube dumb stuff, but he crossed over into blackness, where I've got to talk about it. So. He essentially, he has some old videos, some old statements that have been popping up on him. And where he's like, hey, I've made black jokes, this, that, and the third. And most of the black jokes ended with him getting into like the N-word or doing blackface. So we're not talking jokes anymore. Now you're starting to show some of your character through what you think is funny. So anyway, in an old video that has now resurfaced, he pretended to please himself to an old poster of Willow Smith, who was at the time 11 years old in the picture of the poster. So Jada Pinkett Smith said something. She said, to Shane Dawson, I'm done with the excuses. Meaning because this ain't the first time your boy Shane been in trouble. Then Jayden comes out. This is when I saw Jayden trending. He said, Shane Dawson, I'm disgusted by you. You sexualizing an 11-year-old girl who happens to be my sister is the furthest thing from funny and not okay in the slightest bit. The reason I bring this up is because, one, I like to see the unified effort from the family fighting back on Shane Dawson. Also, I wanted to bring the light to this because Shane Dawson just did an apology video on YouTube about the blackface and the N-words and all that other stuff. And people are just starting to talk about canceling him. And I wanted to bring this up because look at how cheap black life is. Look at how long you can get away. Yeah, Shane, Jeffrey, Logan, Paul, Jake Paul. Look at how much you're able to do and get away with in the public eye until someone thinks about canceling you. Shane Dawson, I submit to you, has been running rampant for a while. Fast and loose with all kinds of YouTube content. Him and his ilk. People that do, kind of like what I call like the lowest common denominator white boy stuff. And it's always laced with some kind of racial epithet or a racial joke or something like that. And in this case, he was saying, oh, well, at the time I was doing kind of like very, if you could say, kind of gotcha content or very shocking content for shock value. Here's the problem with that. Somehow, everyone else that lived in that era was able to not do shocking content like you. But somehow only you, well, not only you, meaning only people like him, were able to do this. I was about to get right where you went. Thank you, Boogsworthy. Boogsworthy says they really conflate cancellation with being held accountable. So many of them cape for predators in the platform. Thank you. I was about to get to this. I submit to you that Shane Dawson isn't canceled. Homie probably still gonna make mad money, get mad views, and this unfortunately will blow over for him. He's not being canceled. People are calling him out, aka being held accountable, meaning being challenged on what he said. And we should challenge everything someone says that's cross to someone black. Everyone else does. If you say something to any other group besides black people, they are ready to jump up and check them and hold them accountable and challenge them. When it's against black people, we're just apparently fair game. I submit to you guys, even on people like this that are stupid and this is dumb, we need to jump on them and hold them accountable, whether people got our back or not. Because we have to make it known that from now on, we ain't taking no ish from you, or you. So those are the couple things. One, how much it takes just for him to get called out. Two, that I did like to see the unified effort. Ma Dukes made a statement. You know what I'm saying? Jayden made a statement. I'm pretty sure Will probably didn't make a statement because he's like, that's my baby girl. I don't want to. He's like, I can't say.
He was gonna make.
I can't say that statement. Yeah, he probably had to give that statement to his PR person, and then she kind of he formulated it to something nice. Because Will probably like, look, I'll just shoot you and leave it over with. But it's not funny. Sexualizing young people, being a sexual predator, molesting a child, pedophilia is not funny. It's not a joke. Now, one could go along the line and say, oh, well, what about the guy in Family Guy? I'd submit to you that Family Guy's been called out a long time ago. It's just been allowed to survive because it's made by white people. But Family Guy has been called out a long time ago. And since they're not canceled, then Shane Dawson won't be canceled, but he should still be called out. And big shout out to Arkham O, nice to see you in the chat, says, worst thing are the cult of fans. Heck, you can argue all them YouTubers like the Paul brothers, Shane, Jenna, etc. probably have the worser cult fanboy following than the Snyder cult and Star Wars fans. Wow. I don't know, man. Them Snyder Cut guys are serious. But I know what you're saying. It's just crazy because it shouldn't take this much. It shouldn't take all this for him to to have to make an apology video. It shouldn't have, and he hasn't even responded to the Willow Smith stuff because he probably thought that it had been pulled up. I ain't got to even address it. Now it's been pulled up. Yo, you got to pay for it. Now, at the same time, do you have to pay for it for the rest of your life? Well, it depends on what you did. But do you have to pay for it in some type of way? Yes. Dude, you're simulating pedophilic acts for comedy. Well, of course he's a YouTuber. He's probably the only one shooting it and editing it, but nobody was like, it's not a good look.
And can I say this too? And I know I've said it before, at least just to you, if not.
Go ahead.
You know, I'm tired of these pitiful, fake apologies. Save your little raggedy apologies. You said what you meant. You did what you meant.
Yeah.
So just roll with it. Don't, because to me, it's condescending. You know, when you want to turn around, like, what you apologizing now for? If you did this some time ago, I want to ask you, when did you become sorry? What was the point at which you said, you know what I did was wrong, and I'm apologizing? Was it when you got caught? Or was it after you sat and thought about it yourself without anybody telling you anything? Because if you didn't apologize until after you got caught, then I don't want to hear it.
The apology is because advertisers said we can't advertise with you anymore until you apologize. Because we don't want to pull our money. Because you make us money.
But my thing is,
so we need you to apologize so that we can keep giving you money, because we ain't going to stop advertising.
And the thing is, they require apologies because we as consumers accept the apology for them to be able to continue on. And my thing is, why are we accepting you showed who you were. You said
Alan Lewis
what you
said
wanted
the
to
Lifetime
say.
Special apologies be comedy to me.
They are just so, because it's like, it's manipulative. That's what it is. And that's what pisses me off. Sorry. Look
at you burning with the fire tonight, boy.
Shut up. Because you're trying to manipulate people. It's fake. And it's like, I just want to hand you an Oscar at that point. It's like, wow, you shed a tear and everything. Like, just sit down with it. Just be who you are. Be who you are.
Yeah, and I'll touch on this before we jump to the next topic that you got up. Arkamo says, funny how when they always want to restrict people on Twitter, IG, or YouTube, like Minister Farrakhan, but when it's white social media personality, MAGA racist, YouTube ain't got no issue with them.
Yeah,
it's YouTube, Twitter, and all them jump in and out of it. They ride waves. Like you see Alex Jones, they got him up out of here because they had to ride the wave. But people that are smaller, that aren't as boisterous or out there or maybe popular, they let them live. They let them live. Like Shane Dawson, they let him live. Jenna Marbles, they let her live. Even Milo Yiannopoulos, Dark Crowns brought him up the other day. I completely forgot about him. They was letting him live for a minute, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about old boy. Until they was like, all right, look, it's too much. The wave is coming. You got to go. Here's the thing. YouTube, and I know YouTube was like, we're investing over $100 million into black creators. I ain't seen a dime. And I ain't seen where they said they was going to put a dime at. But they put that 100 million up on the screen, didn't they? So they could get press off of black bodies. Just think about that for a second. But YouTube picks and chooses when it feels like being for the people. I submit to you, this video right here will be demonetized. We're talking about black people, we're talking about racism. It'll be demonetized. I can go tomorrow and stream myself playing Cuphead. We can stream Cuphead or something tomorrow, right? I'll get all the ads in the world. The problem is YouTube don't want nobody talking about no real stuff. As long as you're black and you're talking about Doom Patrol, I'll be talking about Doom Patrol tomorrow. Bet you won't have no problem with any type of ads. Doom Patrol will be great. No problem. Monetized, here's the green thumbs up. No problem. This joint, demonetized. I wonder why. Are we cursing? No. Are we showing X-rated images on this stream? No. Is there anything going on that is outside of maybe, because we try to keep a family show, maybe PG, not even PG-13. I'm not even cursing on this, but it'll be demonetized. Meanwhile, I've seen streams full of the Snyder cut and, you know, all kinds of stuff where they're cursing, and it's all good. Money all good. Even be showing the analytics and everything. Whenever you want to get real and the wave is a little too strong, you're going to get demonetized. So YouTube cares at times about the people, but only when it suits itself. Think about it. Remember the whole adpocalypse? Remember adpocalypse? PewDiePie. Oh, adpocalypse. Oh, man, it's so crazy. We've got to change the way we do ads. Now the dude has a deal with YouTube. He has a deal with YouTube. His own personal deal. Money flowing. YouTube don't care nothing about that. YouTube don't care. YouTube ain't no different than any of these other companies. People be like, oh, YouTube is SJW or YouTube is conservative. No, YouTube is about that money, and they will follow any wave they can to try to get to it. And right now, their wave is, we want to keep these white creators that have been mad racist, but we're going to need them to rein in the racism just a little bit, because now this whole thing with Black Lives Matter is going on. So now we got to pretend like we care about black people because everybody else is. Oh, yes, I said that. Everyone else is. Now, do I say we shouldn't capitalize on it? Oh, yes, we should. But all I'm saying is everybody out here do it. Shane Dawson ain't going nowhere. Jake and Logan ain't going nowhere. PewDiePie ain't going nowhere. And don't think that YouTube... Look, I'd say y'all might want to follow that money on that $100 million. That's all I'm saying. Because I submit to you, ain't nobody going to get that stuff. Because... when it comes to YouTube, they think that black YouTube is MKBHD and that's it. And I love MKBHD. I watch his stuff pretty frequently. I have nothing against him personally. What I'm saying is YouTube likes him for a certain specific reason. And I'll just leave it at that. And this is not an indictment on MKBHD. He's great. It's what YouTube does because of the person that he thinks he is. I submit to you that MKBHD is probably realer than you think, but he like, look, you know, I got a tech channel. That's probably the real deal. But slide that to the side. We got into YouTube and now we're getting out of YouTube. So what we got next?
Okay, so this is as of June 26th. Minneapolis City Council approves measure to abolish police force. So what that pretty much means is that in a 12-0 vote, the Minneapolis City Council voted to, you know, abolish the police force. But, you know, that doesn't mean it's going to be dismantled right away. It's a first step in a process, you know, that'll just need majority support by the city residents in November election. So that's a first step. And, you know, so that is a city, a town, you know, saying, look, you know, if we can only say, you know, this will be the case for us as a city, fine, we'll start there.
But people will use them as a case, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Definitely.
So that's something to watch. That's definitely something to watch.
Because I really want to see how this turns out. Because just like there was that study, can't remember how many years ago it was, but the New York police said, hey, well, guess what? If y'all don't like us, we ain't going patrol. And police, like, they were on strike for, I don't know, like a week or so, and like nothing happened. And it was proof that it's like, no, like, y'all make things worse than they have to be.
Right.
Like, yes, things happen between citizens, of course, but you guys elevate things to places they shouldn't have to go to.
Exactly. Exactly.
You are an agitator.
You know, my thing that I've thought about that I would not be surprised that'll happen is, you know, when or if, you know, more and more cops decide that, oh, we're just going to quit if you guys keep doing this, we're just not in control. What I'm afraid that will happen is they will cause problems.
Yeah.
Say, look, see, y'all don't have us patrolling and see what's going on.
And then we'll have more videos of being like, hey, this dude's an ex-police officer doing this on purpose.
Right. You know,
just like all those videos that came up, it's like, this guy's an officer.
Exactly. So, you know, I won't be surprised when or if that happens. But I really happy about that, and I, hopefully we can keep our eye on that, and that will actually get good traction. So yeah.
What up? And big shout out to Jamal Lee. Big shout out to Jamal Lee with the super chat. What up? Nice. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for showing it down. Talking about good evening. I'm late.
We late. This is super late.
We late. This was technically supposed to happen yesterday. Now, did you have another story you want to jump to, or I wanted to jump to the chat for a second?
You can jump to the chat,
right, cool.
And then I just had one more.
So when I was going on to the YouTube mess, Eon, Tay 2020 was talking back and forth with Eon, saying that's one example, but so many channels on YouTube, TikTok that disrespect black people and don't get canceled and make money on those videos, and people make money on those videos, which is true. Like, TikTok has already been exposed for how the algorithm essentially works against black people. But then you have Arkamo said, Arkamo, he was following up with the cult statement, talking about funny how when they always want to restrict people on Twitter, talking about Farrakhan. I wanted to jump back on Farrakhan. So here's the thing. They restrict Farrakhan, but notice how the restriction always lasts longer for someone black. Restriction for Farrakhan is like lifelong. When it comes to a white creator, it's like, we'll restrict you for like a week. We'll bring you back. We'll bring you right back. Don't worry about it. Tay 2020 said YouTube is losing. Yeah. Forgot there's Tay 2020 and 1990. Excuse me. So Tay 1990 said YouTube is losing money and Facebook and ad revenue. The podcasting sphere will be the next boom. Wink, wink. That Joe Rogan deal with Spotify. Yo, yes. Podcasting is huge. It's been big for a while, but I think people have just been sleeping on it. And yes, I do think that there's a lot of money to be made, not only in podcasting, not only in the audio space, but like you followed up and kind of alluded to, also in the space for black people. Because by restricting many black creators, all you're essentially doing is kind of like cutting off your own revenue stream, because the money that we make, of course, y'all share in it. And on to the statement about, Arkamo says, that's because, talking about MKBHD, said that's because he's your token black creator. He stay on code for massa. There's a lot of them creators out there like him. I feel you on that. Now, I'd say I challenge you on this. MKBHD doesn't strike me as one of those like kind of step and fetch type of dudes. He doesn't strike me as one of those kind of like caping for massa type stuff. He does strike me as one of those like, I don't really like the confrontation bit. I don't think because he did make a video about being black in tech. Where he kind of alluded to some real stuff, but he didn't. I think MKBHD is one of those guys that don't like the confrontation aspect, and there is a confrontation aspect to this. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the amount of subscribers that he has.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of him, do you feel like because of the platform that he has, that as a black man, he has the responsibility at this time to speak on black issues on his platform?
Yes, and I think he tried to do that through his Black in Tech video. He did a video about a week or so ago, and he didn't really come with the flames and fire. And not saying that you have to come through with the flames and fire, but he had a video, I'm trying to find the title of it right now, so you can always check. Reflecting on the color of my skin. That's the video. Right now it has 4.9 million views. It came out 3 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago. So it's not that I think he's caping for massa. I think that he just strikes me as a guy that doesn't like confrontation. And not meaning like in a punk kind of way, meaning like in a way of life. Like I don't want to deal with the conflict. I want to kind of do my thing and move forward, but I'm not into the conflict type of stuff. And it's similar to remember when we were talking about the beef between Spike Lee and Eddie Murphy? Kind of like, Spike had his way. Eddie had his way. So I don't think, at least to me, he never struck me as that. But on the flip side of that, YouTube does use him as their token black guy. Yes, they do. A whole lot. A whole lot.
But he comes across as the quote safe, black man.
Yeah, and black YouTube or black media on YouTube is much more than that. Black media on YouTube is MKBHD. It's myself. It's Tasha K. It's Professor Black Truth. It's Thought Crimes. It's so there's a myriad. There's Black Hokage. There's tons of different voices of blackness on YouTube. But when you see who YouTube kind of like elevates, which is probably going to be like Francesca Lee, even though she did that whole Twitter thing where she's like, I'm not messing with YouTube no more. At least that's what I think she said. You're going to get those types. Kind of like you're going to get kind of like Double Toasted is black media as well. Shouts to Big Double Toasted, man. Like they are mad cool. They are mad cool. But those different voices are all needed. And we're all banging that drum, but just in different ways. The only thing is, I think that YouTube uses the bang of only one drum to make sure that they get the point across that they want, which is MKBHD, which is a little less confrontational. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't, and not in a way to diss, but I wouldn't expect to see MKBHD hop up and start talking about fighting white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't see. Some of it is because that's not really his platform, how he set it up, and also because he doesn't seem like that kind of guy to engage on that in a public space. Personally, he probably does, but and so that's why we need YouTube, some of that $100 million, which we ain't seen. Where is it going to? What are you doing with this $100 million? How are you using this $100 million to help black creators instead of the 2 to 3 that you will probably, which is going to be like, I don't know, like Francesca Lee, MKBHD. What's the, oh man, I cannot think of that other girl's name. She's in DC, I think. But instead of like 2 or 3 of them, Abba and Preach. Double Toasted, like you said. Someone said 5150 in the chat. Corey Holcomb, boy, man. Corey Holcomb, crazy. Jay Washington's another. There's other people out there that have different voices of blackness that can be heard. You know what I'm saying? Could let that dollar circulate. They ain't gonna let that dollar circulate. But anyway, with that said, we jumped back on YouTube. Now we're jumping off YouTube. All right, to real news. Well, realer news.
So this last story is about Shaun King. Former Long Beach officers
forgot about Shaun King.
Former Long Beach officers write death threats against BLM activist Shaun King. So there was a Facebook group that was formed that included former Long Beach officers, Long Beach, of course, here in California, officers, and various other California officers, where they were saying, quote, toss this guy from a helicopter, need a sniper, Shaun King needs to be put down. I recommend retroactive birth control or post-birth abortion, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah, and evidently I think the FBI had gotten involved.
I got you, Alan. We're gonna go there.
Yeah, so that's
all right. This is how I got into the situation. I'm on Twitter. I can't remember what night it was, but I'm on Twitter and I see Talcum X. Now, the funny thing about this, I saw Talcum X and I immediately knew who they were talking about. Now, I'm going to try to approach this. I know personally that Shaun King has done stuff behind the scenes, especially against black women, that ain't cool. Meaning trying to block them, trying to disrespect them, trying to get them kicked out of jobs, speaking badly against them in the media space. That's not cool. I'm gonna talk about Shaun King in the very surface level general sense of what he said about Jesus in the stained windows. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pick up the statement of Shaun King about Jesus real quick, because I will make sure that I don't mess up his Jesus speech. All right, so on Twitter, Shaun King said, "In the past 48 hours, I've received about 500 literal death threats from white Christians who want me to know that they will kill me before they will ever take down the statues of white Jesus. Christian whiteness has always been violent, though." Now, what he's referring to is a tweet that he put up that said, yes, I think statues of white European the white European they claim to be Jesus should also come down. They are a form of white supremacy. They always have been. In the Bible, when the family of Jesus wanted to hide and blend in, guess where they went? Egypt, not Denmark. Tear them down. So I'm just dealing with that. Shaun King has done some silly stuff. He said some silly and goofy stuff, but this actually has been covered by people even before him, and they are right. Visual identity is stronger than many of us will ever even know. And to make sure that the visual identity of your God is white as the person who is oppressing you, as white as the person who is beating you, as white as the person that you should thank for giving you the scraps of dinner that he gives you, is very important. Mm-hmm. Very important. It is a form of stabilizing and sustaining white supremacy. It is. But now you're crossing into religion as well. So now what you're doing is fighting white supremacy and fighting religion.
I'm gonna tell you why, but let me tell you why. Let me tell you why that's okay though.
Yes.
Because white people did that once they brought Christianity and the KKK together.
Yes, because they conflated themselves. Thank you.
Because the KKK stands strong on quote unquote Christian values and what the Bible does and does not say.
Yes.
So they started that.
Yes. So with that said, they conflated their brutality through racism with religion long ago. We didn't ask them to do that. They did that on their own. So his statement in general is not wrong. Should they come down? Should these icons change? Yes. Even Chris Rock made a joke about when we went over to, was it Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle? I want to say I think it was Chris Rock. Chris Rock made the joke about toppling the statues in Iraq. And he said, that's great. That's a powerful signal to the people to let them know that their oppressor has been gone. And he said, but isn't that funny how we don't do that here? He said, he was talking about the dollars, saying like dollars look like baseball cards with slave owners on them. And they are. I remember when I had my goddaughter brought home this paper from school in kindergarten. And it was like, George Washington facts. And it was like, George Washington did this blank. George Washington blank. And I made her put, George Washington owned slaves. All right, first one. All right, pow. We ain't playing that.
Why you want to put that on the baby?
George Washington. Hold on. Because I need to let her know.
No. Why you want to make her put that on the paper and go to school and deal with that? Did you go to school with her? And sit with her when they went over the paper?
No, I didn't.
Thank you.
No, I didn't. But I needed them to know. Mm-hmm. I need them to know that we keeping it strong in this house.
Don't push that baby out in the fire.
Under my house.
Don't push that baby out in the fire. Don't set the fire and push her out and be like, go
George Washington blank owned slaves. Thank you. Let's not forget this. He wasn't some man that was just like, oh, he never told a lie. I wonder if he lied about them slaves. Anyway, let's get off that. White people conflated religion and racism long ago. Shaun King didn't do that. Shaun King kind of jumping on this wave and going into this area, I don't know if he was ready. Here's the thing, because Shaun King has done so much funny style stuff that the black community isn't like full behind him. You know, it's like stuff that we'll be like, all right. But we're not like full behind him.
But I'm going to tell you.
So then when he does this, now, you know, the white evangelicals is a whole nother issue. Now, are they racist too? Yes. But you're talking about, now we have white atheists that already hate black people and white evangelicals that hate him. So now he's catching super heat, which is where the death threats come from. Where the FBI's like, man, they really want to kill him. I wonder why. Because he said Jesus ain't white. Now think about that. Think about your insecurity. If y'all are also going to get on Twitter, because there's white people on Twitter being like, oh, it doesn't matter what color he is. Then why when we say he shouldn't be white, then you flip your wig?
If it doesn't matter what color he is, then say what color he is.
Oh man. Tay 1990 says, white people religion is white supremacy. They do not believe in God. Now, I would submit to you that you might not be wrong. At least in America, all of the white people that we've seen push Christianity have also pushed racism, have also pushed sexism.
Well, we have to be...
matter of fact, some of the most evangelical, especially in politics, we've seen they doing dirt with the receptionist, or they sleeping with some dude on the other side of the town.
Thing is this, though, we're conflating,
or they've been doing blackface or something. So
we're conflating a lot of different terms.
Yes, we are conflating terms. So I will give them that. But most of the people that want to hang that banner that are white are usually caught up in some mess that shouldn't be considered religious. But then you could get into splitting hairs of religious or religion or religiosity is the kind of like the man-made traditions instead of the actual spiritual.
Because you can believe in God and not be a Christian, or you can believe in God and you know, believing in God and then bringing Jesus into it are two different things, quite honestly.
Yeah. And Eon 001 said, I wonder if Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation is going to get another shot. I hope so. It's tough. That movie is hard to watch. It's a good movie, but it's a tough movie to watch.
Have I seen that?
Yeah, we watched it together. Remember at the end where everybody got hung? And you had the snitch sitting there in the crowd? Like, yo. That was a hard one to watch. But once again, this might be a perfect time for that movie to get brought back up. The only thing I'd say why it wouldn't is because it serves a narrative that Hollywood isn't behind. The Nat Turner story serves a narrative of revenge in many cases. Yeah. They don't want us think about no revenge.
They ain't putting that out right now.
They don't want us to think about revenge. They mad that we burning down their stores. They talk about, you're burning down your neighborhoods. This ain't my neighborhood. I don't own this. I don't own CVS. I don't own Target. I don't, or like Keisha Bottoms with her history lecture on CNN 40 years ago. We don't own CNN. CNN ain't black media. She was crying for CNN. I was like, if you don't get your man,
in her mind, do you know how much money CNN brings to me? I mean, this city.
I'm like, if you don't shut up about CNN been funny style on black people. Been funny style. Man, don't even get me started on that. But guys, that is our time. We have enjoyed you. We have exercised the demons.
Have we? I don't think we have.
Arcatron is in the house. Since Arcatron is in the house, let me remind you guys, Arcatron, dope producer, awesome hip hop beats, crazy stuff. He has an album out called The Space Bridge. Check it out right now. You can find it Spotify, iTunes, all the musical places. All right, just go The Space Bridge. Space Bridge. It ain't even spelled special with like a Z or something like that. Space Bridge. Arcatron. ARCKATRON. Check that out. Oh, also Arcatron, NERDSoulite was like missing you this week. He was like, Artron. See, so he missed you. But with that said, I think I say this on this issue. Ease up on your boy Shaun King. Is Shaun King funny style?
Yeah, yes. You know, but we
need to ease up. He's actually not even the first person that has said this about the statues of Jesus Christ. I've heard this I remember hearing about taking down the image of a white Jesus back in the 90s. So I know he's funny style, but let him live on this one.
Yeah, and I think, in terms of this, regardless of whether we agree or disagree with what he said and all of that, because it's got serious now, where there's people that are seriously threatening his life. And I think as Black people, we just need to stand behind him. We can deal with our issues that we have with him, in another form. But in terms of this, his life is being threatened. And I think we need to kind of just, put our issues aside in terms of and make it clear that we're supporting him and saying, this shouldn't be.
Yeah, at least in front of white folks, let's hold him down.
Exactly.
We can spank him in private on our own, but right now we need a unified force.
Because I don't want white folks to get the impression that he is expendable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
in his literal life. You know what I mean?
Let's ease up on that. But with that said, I'm glad Architron is here because Architron is going to take us out. So, Lady Lisa, say peace, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
So, guys, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all them places. Thank you so much for coming through. We love all y'all beautiful faces. I'm going to shout out all the chat that I can remember right now, which is Arkham O, Architron, Keyb23, Alan Lewis. We had Tay-Tay 1990. We had Eon 001. We had Marquise Collins. Boogsworthy came through. Trying to think if Tracy Lee did come through. Yes, Tracy Lee, Jamal Lee. We had Shot by Nolan came through. We had some fire folks come through. If I missed your name, I do apologize. It is not on purpose. But with that said, since it's the end of the show, we ain't just gonna leave y'all. We ain't just gonna say peace and we out. No, we're going to leave y'all with some dopeness from Architron. And on that note, Architron is in the chat. He can holler at y'all, give y'all the link to where but the Space Bridge, we're going to leave y'all. So from us to you, thank you for watching. NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all them places, Spotify for some music. You can check me out on podcast. From us to you, peace. And then we'll go on and let y'all out to my man, Architron. Take it away.